Hello, I'm Norma Barrero, and I'm here to give you a devotion today. And I want to talk about sacrifice. Okay, don't scroll, don't tune me out. Listen, I have something that's going to really awaken you. And I really believe that there's an awakening that has to happen to us. We have been in such a self mode, self-protection, and even with a lot of storms going on and things like that, people are thinking about protection, about protecting themselves. And we got to remember that God is with us in all these times. And so I want to talk about sacrifice. Sacrifice means giving, biblically, means giving to the Lord whatever He requires of our time, our earthly possessions, and our energies to further His work. So the Lord commanded, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness. So our willingness to sacrifice is an indication of our devotion to God. So I want to share a story in 1 Chronicles chapter 21, starting from verse 20. And this is a story about David. And it says, when Araunah saw David approaching, he left his threshing floor and bowed before David. With his face to the ground, David said to Araunah, let me buy this threshing floor from you at its full price. Then I will build an altar to the Lord there, so that He will stop the plague. Take it, my lord the king, and use it as you wish. Araunah said to David, I will give the oxen for the burnt offerings and the threshing boards for wood to build a fire on the altar, and the wheat for the grain offering. I will give it all to you. But King David replied to Araunah, no, I insist on buying it for the full price. I will not take what is yours and give it to the Lord. I will not present burnt offerings that have cost me nothing. So David gave Araunah 600 pieces of gold in payment for the threshing floor. David built an altar there to the Lord and sacrificed burnt offerings and peace offerings. And when David prayed, the Lord answered him by sending fire from heaven to burn up the offering at the altar. So this is so powerful because before this, David had sinned against God because he counted the people, and God told him not to. And so he disobeyed God, and a plague had come in. And so David now, he's realizing what he's done, and he wants to make an altar before God. You know, that altar, that place that we go to God and meet with God. Excuse me. And so he goes to this individual, Araunah, and asks for this threshing floor. And he knew that David was a king, and he was like, I want to give it to you. I'll give you everything you need for it. You know, he was in agreement, to stop the plague. Probably, he was in on that. But David said, I don't want to offer anything that I have not paid the full price for. And, we are in times that the earth needs us. And it's time to understand what sacrifice means again. We know in Romans 12:1, it says that give yourself as a living sacrifice, right? That comes before the second verse, which it says to be renewed by your mind. So the way we get renewed is by coming to be a sacrifice unto God. So I want to encourage you to revisit, where's your sacrifice? Are you still in a self-care mode or at self-protection mode? Or are you coming back to the altar? Are you coming back to build an altar unto God? And we can see here that as David built that altar, God came and He released the plague. So I want to encourage us today to start visiting that in our life. What's our sacrifice? What are we sacrificing? Or are we coming into somebody needs to help me? When are we going to come to that place that we're going to be that sacrifice? And I want to encourage you to build your altars again. Come back. Don't depend on someone else's altar. Go make your altar. Be that sacrifice again. Lay it down. Give it to God. And the earth is His and everything there is. So He's always going to reciprocate with the blessing. So today I just had that so strong in my heart. All day I kept hearing that word sacrifice, what that means. Sacrifice is not having the internet for a day. We probably all could use not having internet for a day. But the sacrifices that mean something that come from within, where we are denying ourselves to help someone else. And we have so many opportunities in our communities to sacrifice our time, sacrifice our finances, sacrifice our talents for someone else, not just so our family can have income, but that someone else could be stirred and activated into what God has called them to do. I hope you got something out of this today, and I really felt it from my heart, and I hope you have a great day.